Right, so welcome to this tutorial, and we're going to be looking at the following questions. The question reads here to say that sketch on the same axis the following pairs of functions, clearly uh, showing the x and the y-intercept points of intersection and turning points. So they want us to sketch each of these here that is on the same axis. So each of these pairs, as you can see, they're in pairs that you have this one, the first one and the second one, like that. We just have to sketch all these on the same axis. So the first one, you have y is equal to x squared minus 4x. So you look at this is a quadratic function, and then because it is a function where the leading coefficient there has a degree that is of 2, or that is 2 there. You see that it's x squared, and then you have on the other side there you have x plus y equal to 0, where they all have a power or an exponent there of 1. So here we're saying that in this here the value of the exponent is what is 2. That's what makes it a quadratic function. But the other one, you just have 1, which means it's a linear function. So, or linear equation in this case. So how do we sketch this? So first of all, to sketch a quadratic function, you need to get, of course, some points like the y-intercept, the x-intercept, and the turning points. So now, what is this going to be? So now here you see that to get the y-intercept, what we do, the y-intercept is a point where x is 0. So we say that our y-intercept is just going to be equal to y, that is going to be equal. So when x is 0, you get that y is also going to be 0. Because when you plug in 0 there, plug in 0, you get 0, and the whole thing becomes 0. So the y-intercept is just y equal to 0. Then we go to the x-intercepts. X-intercepts. So now, when you're dealing with a quadratic function, you're expected to have what? To have two x-intercepts. So here you see that it is raised to the degree, as we say, 2. That means we require to have two x-intercepts, and then we find these when y is 0. So what we're going to do, we just say x squared minus 4x, and then we say y should be 0. So when y is 0 there, what do we get? So here we can just simply complete the square, which is really going to help us. Let me do it up here because I'm gonna use it as we go. So to complete the square, I just say, okay, I have x there, then I have the coefficient of x here, which is going to be -2, like that, and then I put the square minus, I'm going to square the -2. So when I square the -2 there, -2 squared, like that. So this here, I just end up having, that is going to be x minus 2 squared, and then I have, that would be minus 4. So I've completed the square like this. So now here, I just bring that x minus 2 squared minus 4 is equal to 0. Then I take the 4 the other side, I have x minus 2 squared equal to 4. Then I can take the square roots on both sides, so they are square roots. So that will be plus minus. I'm going to have that I have x minus 2 is just equal to plus minus. So the square root of 4 is just 2, and we get x is equal to 2 plus minus 2. And this gives us the value of x. So when we add here, we just get x is equal to 4. When we subtract, we get x equal to 0. So you have two values of x. So those are the x-intercepts there. So I'll write them here because I'll need the space to sketch. So I'll just say this here, you have our y-intercept is just y equal to 0, and then you have your x-intercept just to be x equal to 0, and you have x equal to to 4. So these are the intercepts. And then next, they want us also to indicate if there are any turning points. So the turning points, how we get the turning points, the simple way to get the turning points, when you've completed the square like this, the turning point is just going to be, So there, where you have the x a plus or minus, whatever value you're going to have, what you do is you get, so here if it's negative, you're going to say what? You multiply it by a negative sign, which is going to give you what? Positive 2. If you had plus there, you'd still multiply by a negative sign. So you just need to multiply by a negative sign there. So here we get 2, and then you get this number which has remained there just the way it is, so that will be negative 4. So this here will be what? The coordinate of your what? Your turning point. So you say turning point is just going to be 2 comma what? Negative 4, where you have your x coordinate and your y coordinate like that. So this is what we have here when it comes to the what? The quadratic function. The next there you have your what? You have the, so we have x plus y is equal to 0, which is our this here is our linear function. So here when you say y is equal to, so here what we can do in the same manner, we are going to find the intercepts. So that is my y-intercept is just going to be y is equal to what? To 0, because when x is 0, you just get y will be 0. And then also your x-intercept, you see that it's going to be what? It's going to be 0, because when y is 0, you get x is going to be equal to what? To 0. So these are going to be your what? Your intercepts. Okay, and then if I write this, I can write this as y, of course, as y equal to what? Negative x. So this here is the function that I am what? That I am getting. So in short, for every value of x that I put in, y is going to be negative. That's what this means. So apart from when x is what? Is 0. So when x is 0, y will be 0. But when I put in x equal to 1, you see that y will be negative 1. So that's how this function is what is behaving. So let's just go ahead and sketch that. So you have x here. So I'll start with sketching this linear function. So the linear function here, as I said, there 0, 0 just gives you 0. So when x is 1, so here when x is 1, so 1 is there, you see that you're going to get that y will be negative 1 and negative 1 is somewhere there. So you're going to have it there like that. And when x is 2, just like that, you get 2 there, you get negative 2. So it starts going this way. So you see that you're just going to have a graph or a line, I mean, that's just going to pass like that and also going this way. So when x is 2, let's say 2 there, you're going to expect that this other part there, you're going to get that is a negative what? Negative 2. Okay, so, and then now, on the other side there, when you put a negative value of x, you see that that negative is going to multiply with the negative and then you get a positive. So when x is negative 1, you know you're going to get what? Positive 1. So somewhere there, which is going to be what? Positive. So this is the linear function which you have. Okay, and then of course here we have the intercepts is just 0, comma 0 there, as you can see. Now let us sketch the what? The quadratic what? Function. So the quadratic function, what you must know is the general form you have is y, that is ax squared, then plus bx plus c, where this a indicates whether, so if a is greater than 0, then it means your graph is going to look up. If a is less than 0, it means your graph is going to look down. So if a is greater than 0, expect something like that. If a is less than 0, expect something like that. So that's what tells you there. So here, what am I going to do? I have the turning points, I have the y-intercept. So y-intercept, I have there x at 0 there, I have. And then I have x is equal to 4. So let me say 4 is somewhere there. And then I have, what else do I have? So x is equal to 4 there. And then the turning point is there, 2 comma what? Negative 4. So let's say we have the negative 4 there. So 2 comma negative 4, which is somewhere what? Somewhere here. 2 comma what? Negative 4. So here, you know, when you put 2, you expect negative 2, it's there. Okay. And then here we've established that the x-intercept The other x-intercept is x equal to 0, which is at that point. So meaning it's passing at that point, and then it's going to what? It's going to curve. So it's passing there like that, and it turns there, and then it's going to go where? It's going to go all the way like that, and then there. And then this side is going to go, okay, like that, and then this side like that. So you're going to have something like this. Okay, and then you can also find this point here, which is this point here, which is just a point of what? Of intersection. So how do we get that point of intersection? So now you've written your equation as y is equal to this there. So as you can see, you can equate those two what? Equations. So when you equate them, you're going to have that you have negative x is just equal to x squared minus 4x. If I take the x to the other side, I just have x squared. That will be positive, so this will be minus x, 3x, and then 0. So you end up having this equation here. So, so you end up what? Having that equation there. Okay, so then you have to what? You have to solve for this equation here. So when you solve now, that is complete the square, you have x minus 3 over 2 squared, then you have minus 9 over 4 equal to 0. I take the 9 over 4 the other side, I have x minus 3 over 2 squared is equal to 9 over 4. Get the square root there, I get the square root there. They are plus minus. Okay, so let me erase here. So there we say plus minus, and then we have x minus 3 over 2 is just equal to, there you have 3 over what? Over 2 also when you get the square root. So here, this is just going to be plus minus there, and then you have x is equal to, so you have 3 over 2. If I take the negative 3 over 2 the other side, then I have plus minus 3 over 2. So when I subtract, of course, I get 0. So you get x equal to 0. And then the other value you're going to have, that is just going to be, when you add there, you have 2, then you add there 6. You divide here, you're going to have what? 3. So it means that this other point where this here, they intersect, this here is just what? That point there is 3. So the line, that is this linear function, and the quadratic function are intersecting what? There at that point, which is just at x is equal to 3. So that coordinate there where it is what? It is intersecting. So you can see, you can also check. So if x is 3, it means the counterpart, this other side, is going to be what? Negative 3. So in short, that point is just negative, is just 3 comma what? Negative 3. So that's the intersection between this quadratic function and the what? And this linear function there. And that's how you'd go about finding these pairs. Okay. Let's do the second one. Okay, right. So the second one, you have y is equal to 3x squared and then minus 2x. So we go about the same procedure. So first of all, that's what I have for y, that quadratic part, and then I have that other one as the linear part. So what am I going to do here? Okay, so to do first, we complete the square. We say y is equal to, so I need to factor out that 3 such that I have x squared minus 2 over 3, and then I have what? X there. Okay, then I can say 3, then there I just say x minus, I have this, I'm just going to have 1 over what? Over 3, and then I square minus, then I square 1 over 3 square, like that. I find the square there. Then I have 3 there, then I have x minus 1 over 3 squared, then minus, that gives me 1 over 9, like that. And then I can multiply the 3, but then why am I completing? Okay, let me multiply the 3 that you see. So 3 there, x minus 1 over 3, then squared. Then if I multiply it there, I just have minus, that's 1 over 3. So there I'll just have what? 1 over 3, like that. So this is what I'm going to end up with. So now, next, what do you need? So they're telling us the intercepts. So let's find the x-intercepts first. That's equating this here, what we found, to 0. So I'm just going to say, let me raise u here in between, that we shall remain with. And I say y is equal to 3x minus 1 over 3, then squared minus 1 over 3. So now, when y is 0, you're just going to have that you have 3x minus 1 over 3 squared is minus 3 minus 1 over 3 is equal to 0. Taking the 1 over 3 the other side, you have there gives you 1 over 3. But then if I multiply by 1 over 3 to get rid of this 3 here, so I can multiply, and then I'm going to have, of course, it's not at that stage. Let me write it here, that I then multiply 1 over 3, 1 over 3. And then you see that I just remain with x minus 3. The square is there. And then you have 1 over 9. Then get rid of that square there. So you introduce the square root. That goes, and there you have plus minus. And you have x minus 1 over 3 is just equal to, so that gives you 1 over what? Because the square root of 1 is 1, square root of 9 is just 3. And you have plus minus. And this will be x is equal to, take that the other side, you have 1 over 3, it becomes positive, plus minus 1 over 3. We subtract, we get a negative. So we get a 0, I mean. So x will be 0, and the other value of x is just going to be, so when we add, we are just going to have keep the denominator adds the numbers in the numerator, so to be 1 plus 1 gives us 2. So we get this. So meaning our x-intercepts, we get x equal to 0, and we have x is equal to 2 over 3. Right. And then when we can clearly see that when x is 0, we just end up with y being what? Y being 0. So our y-intercept is just y equal to what? To 0. Then from here, we can get the turning point. That is just going to be, so I multiply negative of that, I get 1 over 3. Then I get that the way it is, negative 1 over 3. So this here is my what? Turning point. So I can then erase that and then focus on the other one, which is y is equal to 1 minus 4x. So here again, what do you need? You need the intercept. So let's find the y-intercept. When x is 0, we get y is equal to 1. And then when y is 0, we are just going to have that. So when y is 0, so I put 0 there, you have 1 minus 4x. Take it the other side to be 4x is equal to 1. Then over 4, you see that x is just going to be equal to 1 over 4. So that there is your what? Is your x turning what? That is your x intercept, I mean. So then we can sketch. So I'll have that, and I'll have that there. So you have your y, and then you have your x. So what do you want to sketch first? You can sketch any of them. I prefer sketching the line first. So I just want to sketch the line first. So y is going to be 1. Our intercept is 1. So it means our graph is going to cut at 1. And then our x is just 1 over what? 1 over 4. So you have 1 over 4 to be somewhere here, maybe 1 over 4 there. So you see that you're just going to have a line, of course, passing through that point, and then like that, and then, yeah, so pardon my sketch, or maybe let me do this to get a better accurate sketch. I'll say this, and then, yeah, so let me do this here. So you have this line to be something like this. Well, the other oasis was not so accurate, but then, so we're just saying you're going to have that line. So what then next? Okay, so here next we are now going to sketch the what? That quadratic that quadratic function which we have the intercepts. One which is at x is equal to 0, and the other one at x is equal to what? 3 over 2. So 3 divided by 2 is just 0.666, and then you have that 1 divided off 4 0.25. So you expect the y-axis to be bigger, maybe to be somewhere here. Yeah, so that there is going to be our 2.3. So you expect it to pass there, and our turning point and negative, you have 1 over what? 1 over 3, and then so that is just in between. 1 over 3 has to be in between there. In between the 1 over 4 and the 1 over 3. So maybe somewhere there. Yeah, so we say somewhere there. That's where it is. That's where 1 over 3 is. And then down there, maybe it's there also. 1 over 3, negative 1 over 3. So there is where our turning point is going to be. So it's going to pass through the center. It turns there. And then it's going to pass or cut there. So yeah, my sketch not so accurate because of this device I'm using, but then I'm sure you get the idea of what we mean. And also we see that our a is greater than what? Greater than 0. So you expect it to what? Expect it to okay, you expect it to cut through, you expect it to be positive, to look up, to face upwards. Okay, then you can find the point of intersection. That is equating my y to there. So you're going to have, that is going to be 3x squared minus 2x, and then that is equal to 1 minus 4x. Bring everything to the left side. I have 3x squared minus 2x. That will be positive because, yeah, so we'll get just positive 2x and then minus 1 equal to 0. Then you can what? You can solve for this. So quickly, I'll just going to use the formula, which is negative b, which is just 2, and then plus minus the square root of b squared is just 4. It's going to be 4 because b there is just 2. And then minus 4, our a is 3 and our c is negative 1. So this here, then over 2, our a is just 3. So this here gives us, okay, so there you're just going to have that is going to be negative 2 plus minus, you have the square root, there you have 4 plus, so here when you multiply, that's going to give you what? 12. So that's going to be 12, then over down there you just get 6. So negative 2 plus minus the square root of, so you have 4 plus 12 gives us, 4 plus 12 just gives us 16. So if it's 16, then over what? Over 6, then you have negative plus minus. That gives us the square root of 16 is 4, and then you have 6 there. Okay, so this here is going to be, so we can say that this here is going to be, so that's x equal to that, and then I'll have x is equal to, so when I am adding, let me add first. So if I add, we're going to have, that is going to be 2 on top, because negative, then this here is going to be positive. So when I add, I just get 4, then over 6. That there gives me 1 over 3. If I subtract, I get negative 6 over 6, which is just going to be negative 1. So I have values, that is 1 over 3, x 1 over 3, and I also have x negative what? Negative 1. X equal to what? Negative. Okay, I hope we did that right. Yes, so we have x there. X either equal to, x equal to 1 over 3, which is, of course, that intersection there, which we already see that there, that should be 1 over 3. And the other one, it's saying that it should be x equal to what? Negative 1. So x equal to, so anyway, this graph here continues to go. Maybe I did not just indicate it well here, but then, okay, we understand that from here it goes like all the way like that, and then all the way there. So of course this here might be the other intersection, which is just at negative 1. So the intersections there you can label and say 1 over 3 and then 1 as we have what calculated here. Okay, so that's how you'd go about this question. Let's do the last question, which just involves two quadratic what functions. So you have y is equal to x squared there. That's just a parabola. It's a standard form really that is this way. Okay, that is just going to be there like that, because whatever value you put, if I put in 1 here, 1, I get 1 squared is going to give me 1 there. Okay, and then if I put in negative 1 squared still gives me 1. If I put in negative 2, it gives me negative 4. It gives me, I mean, if I put in negative 2, it gives me 4 there. But also if I put in 2, it gives me 4. So this is how it's just going to look. So this is a standard of that. And then you have the other one, negative x squared plus 6x. So now here, for this one, all the other points, the intercepting point, so the turning point for that one is 0, 0, because look, it's turning at 0, 0. And then you have the intercept just being as, it's being, that is x equal to what? To 0. And also you have that y there is equal to what? To 0. So those are the what? The intercepts there. Now moving on to this one here, we complete the square here. And we are going to have that this here, there, then I can say, of course, let's say equal to 0 because we want to solve for the values that we find the x-intercept. So this here is going to just give us, so there's a square there. So this will be x minus, I half that, I get 3 squared minus negative 3 squared is just 9, and I get this equal to 0. So that gives me negative x minus 3 squared and then plus 9 equal to 0. Take it the other side, I have x minus 3 squared is equal to negative 9. Divide by the negative, I get x minus 3 squared is equal to 9. There, get the square root, there the square root plus minus, and you have x minus 3 is equal to plus minus 3, and then you have x is equal to 3 plus minus 3. So when I subtract, I get x equal to 0. But when I add, I just get x is equal to what? To 6. So those are my intercepts. So these are the x-intercepts for that second one there. Take note, those are the x what? Intercepts for that second one there. Let me erase these ones. So I can also write them just here, that x is equal to 0 and then x is equal to 6. These are the x-intercepts. Well, always when you do not see a constant there, you know that your y is just what? The y-intercept is equal to 0. Okay, and then your turning points, since you completed here, you can easily identify that your turning point is going to be, get that 3 multiplied by negative, you get a positive 3. So that'll be positive 3, comma, get that positive what? 9, just the way it is, and you get 9 there. So 3, 9, that there is going to be your what? Your turning point. So that there, 3, 9 is what is our turning point. 3, 9 is our turning point. Take note of that. So, okay, now here, because our a, you see, is less than 0, because negative 1 is less than 0, so you know that your graph is going to be looking down. So here you go to that point, which is 3, 9. So let's say my 3 is somewhere here, and then I don't know where 9 exactly is, but I presume it's there. There on top. So now, what other points do we have? We have that this graph is going to pass through the center, because we said x is equal to 0. So to pass through the center, then it will go all the way and it will turn there, and then it will come and pass somewhere there. So we know that that point where it's cut is what? Is 6. So you expect your graph to look something like this, where that there 3, 9 is your turning point. This here is the graph negative x squared plus 6x. That there is the graph y is equal to what? X squared. This is just y is equal to negative x plus 6x squared. So that's what you get here. Right, now you can find the intersection. So you see the intersection, that is that point of course, you can already know that that point is 0. So they intersect one at 0, 0. So that's an intersecting what? Point at 0, 0. How do you get the other one? The other one, of course, when you equate the two, you have x squared is equal to x squared, negative x squared plus 6x. I bring, or I take everything the other side, I'm going to have, that will be positive, and I get 2x squared minus 6x, then equal to 0. If I take here, factor out a 2, then I have x squared minus 3x, and then that there is just going to be equal to 0. Then you see that here, I complete the square inside, that will be x minus 3 over 2, x squared minus, you get a 9 over what, 4 there when you square that, equal to 0. Okay, continue from here. So there, if you distribute that 2, you get x minus 3 over 2, then squared, then that 2 is going to be 9 over 2, 9 over 2, and then equal to 0. Take the 9 over 2 the other side, that gives you minus 3 over 2. Okay, squared is equal to, that is 9 over what? Over 2. But then if I multiply, if I divide by the 2 there, this gives me a 4. I get the square root there, get the square root plus minus. I have x minus 3 over 2 is equal to plus minus. Their square root of 9 is just 3, square root of 4 is 2. So we get this, and you get x is going to be equal to, take the 3 over 2 the other side, then plus minus 3 over 2. So already you can see when we subtract that we get a 0, as we had said that x equal to 0 is that point that will be intersect there, and then your other point, that is when you add, you have that will be 2 over what, 6, which is just going to give us 3. So 2 over 6, which is going to give us what? 2 over 3, which is going to give us what? 3. So I could then just adjust this graph a little bit. If it's saying that it's 2 over 3, right? So meaning they are intersecting. It's at that point there, yes. So at that point there, that's where they are intersecting, where the turning point is. So that is 3, comma what? Comma 9. In short, 3, comma 9 is where they are intersecting. That's the intersecting point. So that's how you go about. So the first one, they intersected there at 0, 0, and the second intersecting point is 3, 9. Right, so that's how you go about such questions in a very easy manner. Now, if you're new to this channel, I want to tell you that this is not the only thing that we offer at Discrete Learning. If you go to your web browser, you open your web browser, whatever web browser you might be using, just a minute for it to load. Right, so if you go there, okay, so when it loads, you can go and then just type there discretelearning.com. So if you are new, we have a website. So our website offers a lot more lessons than we have on our YouTube channel. So if you do not have an account, do sign up for an account. But if you have an existing account, just go there and click on this link here. And then you see that when you just scroll down, okay, when you scroll there, you have subscribe to course and you have start learning. So now what it does is, if you are enrolled like this, it will show enrolled. If you're not enrolled, it will show not enrolled. So if you're not enrolled, when you click on the course, it will give you easy steps that you'll be able to subscribe for the course. So if you go there, mathematics. So when you check out there, you see that if you are from any other university, which are not these other universities that you see here, if you're not from Apex, if you're not from UNILAS, you're from other universities, you can go into the general folder here. So this general folder, saying general mathematics folder, has topic lessons, summarized notes, and tutorial sheets, and past paper quizzes like that. So now all these lessons, you can learn more here. The topic lessons are there. But also my interest is just to show you guys how you will find or have access to this. So this here is a tutorial sheet question that I was solving, which is from Math 1110. So Math 1110 is a course at UNZA. So I'm going to click there, UNZA. Okay, so when I click here, you see that it gives me 1100, 1110, and 1120. So you go there. So when you click here, okay, network. Right, so when you click here, then it will give you, so you see tutorial sheet 1, tutorial sheet 2, tutorial sheet 3. So this is from tutorial sheet 3. So you expect it, you find it there. And many other tutorial sheets that will be uploaded. Now, this course here just goes at a fee that is at 100 kwacha. So that is just at 100 kwacha. And you have access to all these all these solutions that are there. So you can easily access this at only a fee of 100 kwacha. Well, if you have any further steps, you can or you're failing to assist, you can visit our YouTube channel. There is also a video there which helps you to creating an account and subscribing for any of the courses, or you can contact any of the numbers that you will see in the description and you will be helped out. All right, so this has been Tutor Marius, and I'm surely gonna see you in the next one.